Hello, I'm Derek Heather. Welcome to a lightning talk about scaling agile metrics and measuring what matters for business agility. I will be your host for the next few minutes, so pay attention or you're going to miss something. Back in 2008, I joined an independent government agency to advise their PMO. Their largest project was millions of dollars over budget, and the schedule of key milestone deliverables was slipping. Specifically, I'm talking incremental code drops Congress had authorized and would allow taxpayers to start seeing a return on their investment. Now, I've been in the business for a long time, and that agency had the same issues others are still having today. The question you may be asking are, how do I know I'm measuring the right things? Or how do I know I'm using the right metrics to help accomplish the mission or reach a goal? Based on a research paper I read by Victor Basili out of University of Maryland in 1992, my answer is the goal question metric, or GQM paradigm. GQM is based on the assumption that for an organization to measure in a purposeful way, it must first specify the goals for itself and its projects. Then it must trace those goals to the data that are intended to define those goals operationally. And finally, provide a framework for interpreting the data with respect to the stated goals. It is important to make clear, at least in general terms, what informational needs the organization has, so that these needs for information can be quantified whenever possible, and the quantified information can be analyzed as to whether or not the goals are achieved. In our brief time together, I'm going to provide additional context for GQM, and then I'm going to give you a few examples so that you can take what I tell you and you can apply it immediately. First up, start with a goal in mind and not a metric. For better context, focus more on outcomes and less on outputs. Next, I want you to ask yourself some questions to help describe what you're going to measure from different viewpoints. Last, based on the questions you asked, what are some qualitative and quantitative measures that will help provide those answers? I can pretty much guarantee this is going to be the hardest part of the process. You may have a long list of metrics that you are already using, and now you just realize that they don't help answer the questions. That's actually good, because you can now spend time on metrics that will actually help you reach your goals versus metrics that just appear interesting. Here's the GQM paradigm, but with examples I've used with great success. Given the context of an organization using the Scale Agile framework, an excellent goal would be for an Agile release train to be able to plan, coordinate, and deliver predictably enough to meet a PI level commitment. The questions to ask yourself may come from positive and negative perspectives. That is, do the teams in the ART deliver what they commit to in each sprint and in the PI as a whole? You could ask if there is anything that is preventing those teams from meeting their sprint level or PI level commitments. If the answer to the first question is yes, and the answer to the second question is no, then what's preventing you from reaching your goal? Unfortunately, life is rarely so binary, and there is often nuance. To answer your questions, you'll need a collection of metrics. These metrics that matter are sometimes easy to influence, but harder to measure. And I say harder because you have to put processes and tools in place in order to measure them. When defining your metrics, make sure you are transparent about the data sources and the calculations that go into them. If you can get honest and regular updates, you will have time to steer your teams in the right direction and reach your business outcomes and goals. Remember, start with a goal and not a metric, and only use a metric if it helps answer a question from a particular viewpoint.